And we hear you a little bit. Okay, no, that's my problem. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Yev, and hello, everyone. As we said, today we'll talk about our minor release, which we made 2002.1.0. Actually, here we made a lot of changes, implementations, and even backward incompatible changes, and we delivered some great features. I'm sure you waited for them for a long time. So about this a little bit later, let's start about implementation, which we made in this version. So in our ECETools 2002.1.0, we stopped supporting PHP version 7.0. It means that we also do not support Magento versions less than 2.1.16. And as I already started talking about the versioning, I also want to mention one small but great feature that right now all clients will be notified when any version of their versions of any of services which they use in their cloud projects and close to their EOL, the customers will be notified in the logs, cloud logs through the notice. And here is a link to our version compatibility with Magento Cloud template. Okay, yeah, so if you go to configure environment services, you will see this table with all versions which are compatible with Magento versions. Okay, another things which we made in this minor release, and even before this minor release, is the composition. So before, let me remind you the structure of our repositories. The first one and the main one is Magento Cloud repository, where every cloud project is based on it. It has the necessary cloud configuration files, and also it requires Magento Cloud meta package. Meta package doesn't have any code. It also requires 4 packages: Magento Enterprise Edition itself, our ECETools, PayPal onboarding, and testing. Before, ECETools has only Magento Cloud components in, and other work packages like Symfony, etc. But starting of 2002.0.22 patch release, we moved all code related to patches to the separate repository named as Magento Cloud Patches. It helped us not to be not related to ECETools versioning, so we may deliver any urgent fixes and features and so on, not bumping the version of ECETools itself. Actually, we already made several releases here after this decomposition. And in our minor release, we also moved all code related to Docker to separate repository, Magento Cloud Docker. I also want to remind you that all these repositories are open source, so you feel free to put there any proposals or pull requests. Just a few words about patches, which we delivered after the decomposition of it. I think it's pretty important and for you that all open source issues, hotfixes were bundled there, which you can find in our tech resources. If you go there, all patches we allocated there, we moved to our ECE patches. And just one suggestion, if you download some of such patches, do you and to hotfixes directory of your cloud project, we suggest you to remove them to avoid some possible conflicts. Another great thing which we delivered in a previous release for patches is fix cron deadlocks, and we also improved cron locking. More information about this we made on previous demo, which were 2 weeks ago, but we upload the recorded video to our cloud community YouTube channel. You can go there and take more information about the changes. There are 2 more fixes which we delivered in that release, and the second one release which we made actually previous week, 1.0.2. We fixed we delivered important fix with PayPal Express checkout, and also we fixed problem that sometimes during the deployment, full page cache can be disabling. If you sometimes you found such problem on your environment, so you need to upgrade patches to the latest version. Also, want to tell about Magento Cloud Docker. We have only 1 release after the migration, creating new repository for this. But anyway, this 1 release contains a lot of changes, including some small backward incompatible changes, a lot of features, and so on. So a lot of great stuff. We will have demo in 2 weeks. So feel free to join us if you're interested in all of these changes which we made in Docker. Yeah, by the way, here is a link. I guess all of you already saw this. Here you can find all our schedule we have for future demos, and also we set the links with video records for previous demos. Okay, and we came to the main feature which we delivered in this minor release of ECETools. It's scenario-based deployment. What does it mean? So, as you'll know, during the deployment, we have 3 phases: build, deploy, post-deploy, which running one after another. On every phase, we run different processes by our ECETools. Even you may affect on these processes a little bit using our configurations, which you set in Magento in the example file. But anyway, sometimes it's not enough, and depends on the customer needs. You need to add 1 more step, 1 more action, or vice versa, even remove some actions, which is more difficult to do. And but not anymore, because we make it more easy to do, and you can change any step which we run on during the whole deployment. We have scenario XML files where you can see all steps which we made in every script. Actually, before you can find in our YAML file all these scripts, but now it may look like this. So we implement command run, and here you should set the scenario XML files, which steps should be running on the concrete hooks. But actually, these 2 is similar. So no matter even now, you will have the same commands like in this slide, but it's similar to this one. So what's the structure of these XML files? It's pretty simple, but anyway, let me introduce the structure. So first, every step should be covered in their scenario element. More about schema you can find in XSD file. In scenario, you may have unlimited number of steps with attribute unique name, priority to create an order of the steps, of course type. Also, step may have some arguments with different types. It could be array, object, etc. And items in these arguments also may be like different types. So in this way, you can create your own scenarios, your own steps. Also, you may how to extend actually to your scenarios. So in the same command run, it may have different number of arguments. The first one should be our default scenario deploy XML, which is located in ECETools. But after that, you may set your own scenarios, which you want to extend and so on. I want also to mention the order of this priority of these scenarios. The latest one has high priority. So it could be 3 or more XML files provided here. So the latest one will override steps from the previous one. And in this way, we can, in your scenarios, you may remove steps. For example, you said you don't want to clean cache, and you just need to provide the name of the step, unique name, and add attribute skip as true. Also, you may replace step, for example, you want to do something else, or you want to clean cache another way as we do, for example. So you need to provide in type your class which will do this. And of course, do not forget to set priority. By the way, I want to mention that if you want to override just one attribute in the step, you need to provide all other attributes. It's how it works right now. So the same situation with changing priority. You want to clean cache first before all other steps. So you need to set not only priority as 100, you also need to duplicate type for the steps which was defined in the default scenario. Okay, and just let me show you an example, a simple example, how to make all this stuff. Let me open my PHP store. Okay, yes, do you see? That I'm on the right branch. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Okay, so let's first go to our ECETools vendor, Magento ECETools, and let's take a look to scenarios which we have right now. So as you remember, for build, we have two scenarios, deploy and post-deploy. Let's open deploy and see what we have here. As you see, it's pretty clear what's happened during the deploy. So first we remove all failed flags, which we set during the deployment. We just clean them. We have pre-deploy stacks where we clean some cache. We have validation. For example, you don't want to validate database configuration as you have your own complicated or something like this. No matter, you just need to set step, arguments, argument validators, item, and just to these items set step, skip as true. Also see that in validation we have critical, warning, notice. Yeah, so right now I'll just open the scenarios, all the process. It's pretty clear, and you can see what we do during the deployment. And for our example, let's make some changes in our post-deploy, because we can see it in the end of our cloud logs. For example, I want to remove backup step. I don't need to make backup. I want to add one more step there and change a priority for clean cache or enable cron. Let's say that I create my own, like a module in, let it be in ape code demo. I name it my Magento. I will duplicate the same structure as we have in ECETools, and I put all scenarios in scenario folder. By the way, here I want to show that we have a good example of how to extend ECETools in scenarios in our ECETools. So if you go to the tests, functional data package, and here is you see the directory ECETools extend, and you just can copy all of this data, which this process much faster, and just remove existing scenarios and create your own one. Actually, what I made before, I don't need all these scenarios. Here is my own scenario, and I just, as I said, I want to skip backup step, so I said skip as true. Also, I want to change the priority for enable cron. And just one suggestion, not to set priority multiply by 100, because usually the default steps has this order. So if you want to change order, just put something between the steps where you want to put it. In my case, it's 650. And I added one more step. Just one more step. In this class, I go to, it's located in SRC step. My step, by the way, every class for step should implement Magento Cloud step interface. It has one function, execute. In my case, I just set logger info to make it visible on cloud log, my demo step. And you need to add some required files as registration PHP. You need to change their ID here. Also composer JSON. You need to change, if you copy from our ECETools, those directory need to change name and change the namespace here and put the source. And one more file which is required is in config services XML. Here you also should provide a namespace and the resource for your code to make it visible for Symfony, which we use. Actually, that's it. My scenario is ready. And what I need to do, just go to Magento app YAML file. By default, we have only like post deploy without run, as you remember. So do not forget to change it to use command run to provide the right path to ECETools scenario. So run scenario post deploy, and after that provide path to your scenario from the root path of Magento Code. So our app code demo Magento Cloud scenario post deploy is where located my XML file, and that's it. We just push this code. I already made it, and let me show the result of the deployment. Here is our post-deploy hook. As you see in our logs, we see that the result of scenarios was a merge of these two files. And let's look at the steps. So we have validation. We have backup step as skipped, as we provided in our scenarios. We enabled cron later after warm-up cache. Usually it's at the beginning. And we see their log from our step. So that's it. It's pretty easy. You can do everything. You can change everything in our processes. So like a freedom. Also, I provided a link to you where you can read more about scenario-based deployment in our dev docs. You need to go to configuration, manage your project, scenario-based deployment. Everything what I just showed you is provided here, and even more details. One more thing which I didn't show you, that in services XML file, you may also provide implementation of some of our ECETools interfaces, like in this way. So go to our dev docs, see all these steps which I just showed you. One of the things which we made in our minor release is we improved the ability of our warm-up caching. We right now you may warm up more pages than before. For example, you may warm up product pages. We also made demo about it 2 weeks ago, and here is the link where you can watch more details about this. In this minor release, we added one new configuration, which need to set in our Magento env YAML file. It's named as error wrapper dir nesting level. It means that when you have any errors, some wrappers are created on your project, and sometimes our really bad code or something happened, this number of these wrappers increasing like in a huge amount, and it's difficult even to remove them, to search for them. So actually this this variable set their level of nesting level for directories. So in this example, see the name of wrapper like this hash. If you set level 1, we see we have one directory, one more directory with first two symbols of this file name. If level 2, you see this level was increased to 2. The maximum value is 32, and usually you don't need to care about this. We already set this level as 1 for you by default. So it's a default value for this variable. How it works? We just set this value to pub errors local XML file and set this value by default is 1 to dear nesting level. If you set another number, we read this number and write this number in this file. But as you see, it's located in the read-only directory, so we may set it only on the build phase. That's why stage for this variable is built. But another thing that if you already have this file in your repository, for example, you already committed this file with this value or without this value, we won't override these values by this variable. So higher priority in this file if it's already exists in the repository. And there are some backward incompatible changes which we made in this minor release. We removed some deprecated variables. It's SCD excludes links, but we have option. You can do the same in our ECD matrix. It's even more better and ways how to manage your themes. We also remove static content threads because we have an alias as SCD threads. Another one was removed is do deploy static content. It's the same as skip SCD. We removed the static content symlinks variable. There is no additional variable how to make it because we removed this possibility to copy static content which was generated on the build phase to copy this on the deploy phase. If you want to have real files in pub static directory, you just need to run static content deployment on the deploy phase. So right now you can't generate it on the build phase and just copy all the content deploy phase. And we also removed one file, so it's pretty old. I guess you even don't know what does it mean. It's okay, because all these things which before you could set some configuration in these files, everything is covered in our Magento env file and even more. There are a few more changes in our CLI commands. We've also removed some of them because of duplication. Actually, we removed aliases. M2 ECE build, it's the same as ECETools build. M2 ECE deploy, the same as ECETools deploy. We removed also M2 ECE SCD dump. You need to use config dump instead. And on this command, I want to pay your attention. So ECETools patch made applied all patches from our cloud patches and also from M2 hotfixes directory. And after the decomposition, we don't have any code in ECETools related to patches, so that's why everything was migrated to separate CLI command ECE patches, and it just CLI to ECE patches, and command name is apply. It does absolutely the same as the previous one. and 2 more CLI commands about the Docker, but more about it, as I already said, in 2 weeks on our demo. Actually, that's it, and just I want to show you the link if you want to read all our release notice related to our tools. And right now, under our tools, we mean ECETools, Cloud Components, Cloud Patches, Cloud Docker. And if you go to the latest tab in our menu in deadlocks, you may see all these tools which we have right now with versions, latest versions, and all release notice for each of them. Okay, that's all what I wanted to share with you about our minor release, and now I'm ready to answer your questions. Let me check the chat. Chat is empty, no questions. ECE, actually it's a pretty old name before our renaming, but before it stands for Enterprise Cloud Edition, if I'm not mistaken, but we just leave it as it is, we didn't change it. Okay, more questions? No questions? Okay, so if no questions, I know probably there is too much information for you, and I try to provide different links where you can find or refresh all this information on our dev docs. Everything is covered there. And anytime you are free to ask any questions on our community Slack channel. So, and of course, we will one question, other things that you must remove from field. What you actually,
for example, are there critical steps which you cannot remove? So you can pretty much technically remove anything, but
yeah. So I would say all steps which we made are pretty important. Probably some you may better to just extend our steps, or just minor steps like backups. All other main steps. Actually, we didn't mark steps as required for now. I'm not sure that we will do that. Right now, you can remove. It's possible, but we do not suggest to do this. Okay, thank you all.
Thanks, guys. The recording will be available, as always, very soon. So waiting for you to join us for the next demo in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining today. Thanks, Nadiia, for presenting. Have everyone a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.